What's up, SNA Assassinators? This is Super Ninja Austin back here with another video. And this time it's AEW Collision. I know this is in the afternoon, but I didn't have enough time to do it. Like after I did my SmackDown review video, so much work. And I haven't even watched the show yet because I was too busy watching SmackDown and decided to do a review video show on last night. So I thought I might give y'all a review on AEW Collision, and I wish I could watch AEW All In to do a review later on this evening, but I just couldn't. I just did not have the budget to do that. But yeah, I'm gonna try to see any highlights from that, like on tomorrow on the wrestling news video. So yeah, but I'm still gonna be doing my prediction, my prediction after I review Rampage. So stay tuned for that in the end of this video. And yeah, what a magnificent show like that AEW Collision and both Rampage was, because yeah, they were trying to go all out, and no pun intended, if not already a pun with that the name of the pay-per-view. And also yeah, we also got some two we got two different personalities, finally got their I'll say three wrestlers that normally get squashed on Rampage and Collision finally had their moment of winning matches, which I'm gonna get into later on, towards the middle of Collision and the middle of Rampage. We're gonna get into that soon enough, but we're gonna start off with Jon Moxley and Marina Shafir walking out of their Chevy SUV or truck, whatever it was. But it's where the security guard tried to escort him in the ring, but Marina Shafir stared at him like I don't think I wouldn't do that if I were you. Yeah, we don't need no escort. If somebody try to attack us, they'll be regretting their decision on doing so. This is where the security guard's like, okay, I can't argue with that. And this is where he ran out there before he ends up like the last dozen of security guards they went into and made them their victims. This is where they start hyping up everything about AEW All Out for tonight, and including the Fatal 4-Way match that's just been added this past Wednesday. And this is where we got, and speaking of that, we got the first match happening, which was Mark Briscoe and Lance Archer, I believe. Or was it? Yeah, it was, yeah. They just went right away with them even taking us outside, but Lance Archer won the award. Is where then he hits him face first right into the barricade. Is where he's like, yeah, that includes you, Okada. And I was like, yeah, you could go tell him, Murder Hawk. Even though I'm not the biggest Lance Archer fan, but I hope he does beats that bitch, man. But yeah, hopefully either him or anybody else that qualifies. Well, unfortunately that did not happen. But either way, whoever wins any of these no one contender three-way match. I was like, hopefully they become the Continental Champion as soon as tonight's AEW All Out. And some of y'all saying why you have a vendetta against him is not for real. I'm just playing a role here, but just to have some kind of a personality here on my podcast. But anyway, this is where we got. That's when I started chuckling, and this is where fans started booing because they did not like what he was doing to Mark Briscoe. This is where then he threw him right back in the ring, but this is where Mark Briscoe then immediately went up to him when the referee rang the bell, or even a second before, and started going for a guillotine, turned into a headlock. But this is where Lance Archer Irish whipped him to the right side. He then tried to go for a clothesline. Mark Briscoe does. He tried to go for a flying clothesline of his own, but he could knock down the tall Hawk. And this is where then we got him trying to go for another clothesline to Mark Briscoe. He must have been double cursed, even though it wasn't a signature or finisher of his. But this is where, yeah, he misses Mark Briscoe with him ducking, and then he took out of the back clothesline. He tried to go for a shoulder tackle, but this is where he's still having trouble knocking him over. Mark Briscoe tried to close on him out of the ring. I think he was thinking too soon because he got the ropes pulled right down, and he went right over the outside. This is where then we got and this is where then we got what's his name? Lance Archer then threw him right into the barricade, right into the upper right side. This is where he was back in the offense position. Where Lance Archer was it was like, okay, Aubrey, when Aubrey was like halfway at number 5, this is where he's like, okay, I'm gonna redo the count out, like, so you don't have to worry about me getting back in the ring. This is where he did so. This is where he didn't fall right after Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe started hitting some forearms right into the face of Lance Archer, but he knees him right into the midsection. This is where he then toss him right over on the upper left side of Barry's tombstone. This is where he was beating him so bad to the point that he got like a little cut mark right into his right side that was making him bleed the red stuff out like uncontrollably on his right side of his face. This is where Lance Archer's like, they don't call me the Murder Hawk for nothing. This is where he started posing and started mocking the fans. This is where then we got Mark Briscoe managed to make a comeback and start beating him so badly. Like he sent him right to the right side. This is where not too bad, like in a brutal, bloody way, but enough to distract the Murder Hawk monster. This is where we got Mark Briscoe got a chair underneath the ring. Aubrey Edwards thought he was going to use it as a weapon. He was like, no, I know, Purdy ref, like I'm using this so I could, I'm using it as a stepping stool of what I'm going to do to him, like I do in a fair manner. And this is where then he put the chair right into the left side of the ring. He runs to the right side. He did exactly what he said he was going to do. He stepped right into it, hit a cannonball right onto Lance Archer, finally knocking him on the floor. This is where Mark Briscoe's like, yeah, I told you, I made that promise that I will take him down, and I did. Like, the only thing that's missing is to beat him for the 3 count. And this is where he's like, but before I get him in the ring and capitalize on this, like, I'm going to choke his ass for good measure to make sure he does not get up double times like much as that double times much I would, like when I hit him with my finisher. This is where it was working successfully. This is where then Aubrey Edwards like it's like choking somebody out like with an inanimate object is technically illegal, but like only if you like but only if you don't stop like in the next 5 seconds. Like even though he's not on the ropes, this is where Mark Briscoe's like, okay, like keep counting all along the way. Like I don't want to waste your time. And this is where then Aubrey Edwards then counted the 3 or if not 4. Is where Mark Briscoe let go, and it's where he didn't let go of the shirt that he was wearing as well. He tossed it to the fans, even though it was bloodied up. I don't think the fan would mind it because it came from their favorite wrestler. This is where Mark Briscoe go for a pin, but this is where we got Lance Archer kicking out at 1 even. This is where Mark Briscoe was like, yeah, maybe it took me a little bit long for that to happen. But I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, you probably would have kicked out anyways. Like, yeah, whether if it was from 2 even or 2.999, like, because I didn't completely choke him out. And then this is where we got Lance Archer then got back into the position. He grabbed onto on the right side of his I'll say his midsection. He hit him with this like a single clawed spine buster. That's where he accidentally put his right side of his face onto Mark Briscoe's, which had got some of his blood stains on his face. It's where he wiped it right off, roared like if he really is a monster, and this is where he start clawing it right onto Mark Briscoe's ribs. This is where then he. That's where then he continued to punish the Ring of Honor World Champion. Is where he tried to hit a single axe handle fist, but this is where Mark Briscoe started some knife edge chops, got a little offense after hitting that maneuver. This is where we got what else happened? It was but once he tried to go for, I believe, a suplex right on the outside, he gets hit with a perfect right shot from Lance Archer. This is where he got knocked right off the top rope. This is where. And he got grabbed on by Mark Briscoe. This is where he hits him with a right strike right into the left side of his face. This is where then we got Lance Archer then going for a Uranagi slam, which he successfully hit onto Lance Archer. This is where then we got this is where then Lance Archer was like, would you like to have some more more servings of a beating onto your favorite man Briscoe here? Like, it is where then he's like. That's where they try to choke slam him again, but this is where we got Mark Briscoe starting some knife edge chops right onto his chest and the side of his face. He was like, yeah, because he knows his version of kung fu, I guess you could say. It's where then he booted him right to the side and making him go face first right into the ring. But I was like, how in the hell he did that? Like, I've seen him did plenty of unusual and amazing things, but not as much as compared to what we saw here on this match, like in the opener. That's where the Mark Briscoe then hit a rolling what that blockbuster flipping neck breaker thingamajig right onto the Lance Archer. This is where the Mark Briscoe's like, yeah, boys, like there's gonna be plenty more where that came from. And then it's where then Mark Briscoe then throw Lance Archer right back in the ring. This is where then he then continue his offense right on to the former IWGP United States champion with a crossbody. That's where he's like, oh yeah, like finish him off. That's where he put him right in the shoulder. That's where I thought he was gonna hit my finisher now, like which is the most dominating move in all of professional wrestling, the Death Valley Driver, which I call it the Assassin Valley Driver, like y'all know. That's where he did so, but it was more like a Velveteen Dreams version of it, the Dream Valley Driver though, but still technically like mine, except I flip him over like an attitude adjustment like maneuver. But this is where we got this is where then Mark Briscoe's like, finish him off, and then did a cut stroke, and then the froggy elbow right onto Lance Archer. That's where he goes for the cover, points to the heavens to his brother Jay, which he sadly passed away in the beginning of last year. And rest in peace to him. But this is where, unfortunately, on that moment, we got Lance Archer kicked out at 2.8. And this is where then Mark Briscoe's like, how did he kick out? Like, nobody kicks out of that maneuver. Like even if they did, they've only been like a couple of times. And then this is where we got Mark Briscoe then was like no matter. Like I said, I plenty more maneuvers, like both signature and finisher, like where that came from. This is where then he put him right between his legs. This is where he looked like he's about to do like a Tiger pile driver, like or something like that, by going for an underhook under his eye. That's where Lance Archer then try to go for the Iron Claw, like if he's the Von Erichs. This is where he starts squeezing like everybody in his hand, and then we were like, oh no! And this is where Mark Briscoe remembered that he's not his arms are not being held by Lance Archer's arms not held by the Murder Hawk Monster. That's where we got the Ring of Honor champion, then chops him, slaps, chop, left, right, and then hits a forearm strike right into the face. And then that's where he was like, but since he's going after for the Abomination title, I'm not gonna be worried too much about it, because I got perhaps another bearded freak that I worry about, that I'm going to discuss about this Monday. So I'm going to give him a pass. But for now, that's where we got Lance Archer then hits a choke slam right onto Mark Briscoe. That's where then he was about to hit a buckle bomb, which he did so to Mark Briscoe on the bottom right side. That's where he then followed that up by going for a ripcord spinning Uranagi, but this is where once he tried to go for the pin, however, Mark Briscoe kicks out at 2.9999999 with Aubrey Edwards like an inch away from touching the mat. This is where Lance Archer's like, what the hell is the meaning of that? Like, how did he kick out of that? It just don't make no sense. And this is where then he was like, okay, no matter. Like, I'll just go for what's that called? The Hawk's Edge maneuver? I'm not sure what it's called. Like, but this is where he tried to go for that maneuver off the top rope. But this is where Mark Briscoe, by the chunk of his forehead, this is where he's like, and this is where he followed it up with a right hook chop right into in the chin part of it, on the left part of his chin, I should say. This is where he gets him with a second big froggy boa, which it was a double guaranteed, and not only just because he was double lucky and he had a double whammy onto Lance Archer, but this is where he didn't go for the pin after that. Like, this is where we got, but not only that, even though he got denied at 2.999 the first time of the pin attempt, he tries it again for a second time for good measures. Second time in a row in that part, but it was his third attempt, which he was triple lucky at that point. He triple whammied him. Third time was the charm, and that's where he got the 3 count that time. And I was like, why Mark Briscoe just did it for the second time in the first place, but he didn't. But in kayfabe, he did not know. But I'm not going to get too much into that. Like, as long as we got a number 1 contender for the Continental Championship, I'm all good for it. And I'm a huge fan of Mark Briscoe. This is where the celebration didn't end, because I didn't end just yet. Like, after he retrieved this Ring of Honor World Championship, he's like, I got one. Now I'm going to go after you. What's his name? Okada. And then this is where he used the B-bomb. So, yeah, he's definitely on the Hate Okada fan club the Hate the Hate Okada Club, I guess you could say, along with the Assassin, which he called him the Biscuit Iced Tea Chicken Hotcakes name. But some of y'all probably going to be saying, why did you say that? Like, well, it's not, it don't have man in it, so why would I even say that? Because I'm trying to make this more of a family show, even though I'm guilty of saying it for the few times I've been saying it. But yeah, kudos to Mark Briscoe, like best wrestler of the night on that one. Like for him roasting Okada on that one, and I hope he either him or any of the other four guys that qualifies. that only have to be two, of course, between either Orange Cassidy and Brian Keith on one half, and then we got Konosuke Takeshita and Beast Mortos on the second one. After this one, of course, well, on the second round and then the third one, like it's going to be a Takeshita and Mortos. But yeah, whoever wins these matches, I hope it will be one of these guys that could dethrone the bitch man himself. And if I put him in his place, and then maybe even be the only elite member to not have a championship belt. Like I'm not sure what to say. Like that's kind of way too much of a biased opinion, but I'm gonna pretend I didn't even say that. But yeah, let me know in the comment section right down below who were the next guys you were thinking that is going to be joining Mark Briscoe and what's his name Okada. Like yeah, let me know like who's going to win between Cassidy and Keith and what's his name Takeshita and what's his name Mortos. But this is where we move on right into. This is where we move on to Chris Jericho's like, hey guys, yeah, yeah. It's where then he said like yeah, like it's still to come. We got Orange Cassidy taking on my second student, the Bad Apple Brian Keith. Like in the conglomeration, I'm very impressed with what you guys been doing lately. Like, and then he's like, he was like, yeah, from Mark Briscoe to Orange Cassidy to Kyle O'Reilly, and then now my all-time favorite, Tomohiro Ishii. Like he's one of the toughest and hardworking men I ever seen, like in pro, not just in AEW, but also in pro wrestling in general. This is where he's the best. He's the most dangerous man that I have ever faced in the squared circle. This is where then he was like. It's where he's like, but it's time for but his time in AEW is coming to a sad end. Like, and I'm gonna tell you why he needs to go back to Japan. And Wade said, even though as much as I would love to wrestle him in AEW, now is not just the right time for that match to happen. And this is where then what's his name? Big Bill was like, time is the most precious and valuable commodity, like that of the human race that possesses. But unfortunately, time must run out for every man, including Tomohiro. And this is where then Brian Keith then repeated Big Bill by saying, for every man. And I was dying with laughter. I was like, this is why, he always gets the Goofy Wrestling of the Night award. And that's where they said, yeah, especially this one. And then it's where it was none other than Tomohiro Ishii that was underneath them. That got hit with a wedge chair around his neck and snapped right into his neck and throat, probably crushing his whole entire neck, in many places in kayfabe side of things, not in reality. Let's hope that is the case, though. But yeah, you never know what could be the case in professional wrestling. But this is where the cameraman point right to it. And this is where we got Jericho's like, sayonara Ishii. And I was like, I wish you could do that to a different Japanese wrestler, it's the man I just mentioned. That's none other than the bitch man himself. But the thing is, they're both heels. So how are they gonna pull that off unless one of them turn babyface? And I know who I would root for either way, whether if they're a heel or a face. If Brian Keith could win this continental number one contenders match to be the third man that's gonna participate in the match. But it's where then we got the referees that start saying, like what the hell y'all just do here? Like somebody need to get a doctor. And then this is where they're like Tomohiro don't give up on us. And this is where that's where they got him out of there. That's where we got Zach Gibson and James Drake of the Grizzly Young Veterans came out to take on taking on what they named the Iron Savages. This is where they didn't waste no time and just start hammering away. Well, it started off with Zach Gibson and the biggest like the big man of what's their name? The big man on the biggest man of the faction of the Iron Savages, and and this it kind of reminded me watching NXT UK all over again, like if it's 2019, 2020 again, and it's because also Nigel McGuinness is the wrestling commentator on the show, like he was on the European version of NXT. This is where then we got the Zach Gibson started hitting some strikes right to the face, right onto to the big man. He hits a knee strike after he's done forearming him to death. Yeah, Birdie Bird.
Do you want vegetables or pizza?
I guess pizza would be fine. Thank you, Birdie. But anyways, Assassinators is where we got Zach Gibson, then tags in James Drake. This is where then James Drake got into the ring. This is where he grabbed onto his leg. This is where he started bending it sideways on the back ankle of this the biggest man of the Iron Savages. James Drake then did a middle drop kick onto it. This is where he hits a right hand to the face onto the middleman, like of the Iron Savages, which I totally forgot his name. I need to start keeping up with their names, like the other tag teams in AEW. Like I'm finally doing with the Outrunners, which is Turbo Floyd and what's his name, Truth Magnum, which I got some big, wonderful news for them in just a moment. Or about them, not them, but about them, I should say. Like not to them, but I got some good news for you Assassinators about them. Like if you are fans of this tag team. We finally got some justice for them. This is where we got, but anyway, this is where we got James Drake tags in Zach Gibson. This is where the Tony Schiavone and Nigel McGuinness was talking about. They've been wrestling in the wrestling scene in Europe and England since they were in their teens, like 14, 15 years old, like respectively. But this is where we got the grizzled young veterans then trying to go for a double suplex. But this is where we got the big man hit a double suplex on the DM, reversal. This is where he started jumping, showing his monstrous what's that persona? I guess you could say, I'm not sure why I should say that. I should say his reaction, his monstrous reaction, like if he's in AEW Otis. This is where then he tags in. Who is it? Was the middleman of the Iron Savages? It was Bronson. That was the middleman, and Boulder is the big man. That's what their names are. It's Boulder and Bronson, which Boulder got Bronson right on the shoulders, like in an electric chair position, like only for until James Drake trips over Boulder with a shin breaking chop block. This is where he then try to collect. This is where they try to pick up the big man. This is where. That's where we got Boulder that tried to go for a choke on the James Drake, and they tried to do the same with Zach Gibson that tried to help out his tag partner. But that's where like he got too distracted with Zach Gibson. He gets step up instigated by what's his name, James Drake. That's where he bounced right to the left side. What's his name, Zach Gibson. Then also. Then was looking at James Drake. He nodded right at him. This where then they try to flip him right over the top rope, knock him over like if it's a casino battle royal rather than just a normal tag team match. This is where they successfully did so. This is where we got. This is where we got Bronson then try to go for a running attack move on both men, but this is where he decided to sacrifice by letting what's his name, Zach Gibson go by dodging out of his clotheslining what's his name, James Drake out in the process. That's where he turns around. He back elbowed Zach Gibson when he tried to ambush him from behind. But this is where he just started hitting some right hands, some repeatedly, getting 3 shots, ducking out of Zach Gibson clothesline when he was getting tired of taking some shots. That's where he then he pulls him right back and clotheslines him. That's where then he picks him up, put him on his shoulders. That's where he was like about to hit some kind of a death driver or some other fireman's carry. This is where he got reversed, however, by Zach Gibson. He gets thrown right to the left side. He gets tagged in by what's his name? Right, by James Drake. This is where he goes for a slide duck while James Drake go for a leapfrog right after him when Bronson was coming. This is where then they double Irish whip Bryce. What's his name? Bronson right into the right side. They go for a double flapjack left. In the left side of the ropes is where we got. That's where then we got Zach Gibson. Then went right into the bottom left side. Is where James Drake then pick him right up. This is where then we got. This is where it goes for this is where he sweeps the back legs of Bronson while while Zach Gibson goes for a devastating clothesline to get the 1-2-3 winner of this match. The Grizzled Young Veterans. This is where the leader of the what the Iron Savages didn't try to be intimidated, try not to be intimidated by Grizzled Young Veteran, because he stepped up right by himself and tried to say nobody don't do that to the Iron Savages and get away with that. It's where then Grizzled Young Veterans are like, what are you talking about? Like, everybody gets away with outdoing you guys. Like it's every single week. Like, it's tradition in AEW Collision in the mid-card division. Like, so y'all should be used to this by now. Like, if you're not, we're going to give you a little bit of a reminder. But before they even do so, FTR then came in, sprinted, saved the day. But I don't think that was the primary reason why they came out, because they wanted to beat down the Grizzled Young Veterans, which they did, like with them throwing Zach Gibson out of the ring while they try to go for the Shatter Machine onto James Drake. But this is where James Drake dragged him out of there before he gets Shatter Machine on. This is where I was like, yeah, it was a smart move to do. This is where then the leader of the Iron Savages had the nerve to say, like, these guys are my heroes, even though we haven't seen eye to eye before, but everything's all different. But this is where they look like they're about to leave the arena. But this is where, like, what's his name, Dax Howard would then turn him around, pick him up like in a flapjack position while Cash Wheeler hits the code breaker part, like for the Shatter Machine, knocking out the leader of the Iron Savages. This is where then FTR was like, you want another beating from us? Like, we haven't forgot what you did to us ever since AEW All In. Like, we're gonna keep coming up, but we're gonna keep giving you these punishment like beatings, like no matter what to you guys. Is where it's like you just believe it. This is where then Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood was like, so you better be prepared, like when we do get our match being confirmed. And some just tells me it could be as soon as next week's AEW Collision on next Saturday. Let me know in the comment section right down below. But here's where we got Will Ospreay in a hype video with Pac, like on their upcoming match, saying like you're like with what's his name? Will Ospreay's like, you may have gotten away with doing that poison Rana onto me like a week from this past Wednesday, but everything's gonna be a whole lot different when we're in that square circle tomorrow night or something like that. Yeah. Like, when I defeat you by hitting the move that I did the likes of Bryan Danielson and MJF, and that is the Tiger Driver 91. That's where the Pac was like, you're not gonna do anything about it. And it's been far too long. I've been cheated out, and that's why I did what I did, making a statement. Don't forget about me, or I will give you a very painful reminder, or something like that. That the bastard said. But he also has a match tonight, and he will be teaming with his Trios Championship tag partners, the Blackpool Combat Club's Willer Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli, and their other teammate, I should say, that's currently holding the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Bryan Danielson, which is also known as the American Dragon. And I'm sorry I didn't say it like in the way like Justin Roberts would say it. It's just that I have a very bad sore throat right now. Like, not too bad, but it's like bad enough that's barely letting me imitate anybody's voices. So yeah, please bear with me on this until the end. Like I'm gonna try to do my best not to make it sound annoying. But yeah, but let's move on. We got what's his name? Orange Cassidy then promised that he's gonna punch Brian Keith right square off in the face. And then tomorrow at All Out, which is today, he's going to take the Continental Championship and he's going to put it right in his trusty backpack, along with I'll say 700 pounds of stacks of cash, which is the $7,000 in cash that he promised to give to Chris